Okay, Joss Whedon came out a little while back and discussed how a Justice League movie, could surpass what he was able to do with the Avengers. Not surpass in monetary value, because probably not going to happen for a DC comic, for a DC movie. But it could be surpassed by having a very strong female character, as well as having more diversity. The idea being that if they were to not go with Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern, but instead do a John Stewart Green Lantern, you'd have a black guy. If you throw in Wonder Woman, you could have a strong female character. Which I find to be kind of bizarre, because way back at the end of, I want to say it was Iron Man 2, they had mentioned Tony not being part of the Avengers, the idea being they would instead have Don Cheadle's character, War Machine, take the spot of Tony, therefore giving you a black guy on your team. That ended up not happening towards the end because Robert Downey Jr. does a tremendous job as Tony Stark. Now I find this to be weird that they often talk about it's really difficult for women to lead these large franchises. And Joss Whedon has actually mentioned The Hunger Games and Twilight as female-led franchises that made lots of money. Okay, I would not use Twilight as an example of a strong female-led movie franchise. Because you could put any woman in the Twilight book and it probably would have been fine. It actually probably would have been better. Now, I find this to be kind of weird that people talk about, females in action movies. Because there's a large amount discussed with Pepper Potts in Iron Man 3. And all of a sudden she had powers and she kind of helped save the day. Those same people, I guess, must have skipped this other movie that was called The Dark Knight Rises. That had, what was that character's name? Catwoman. Who ironically showed up at the very end, and she was the one who helped defeat Bane. I might do a video later showing the absolute correlation between Iron Man 3 and the third Nolan-verse Batman movie, but getting back to what Joss Whedon had mentioned, how it's really hard, how they really haven't been able to do a female-led superhero movie. As well as one that's led by a non-Caucasian. I'm assuming that he's probably skipping over Steel, which was a horror movie starring Shaquille O'Neal. Probably also skipped over Catwoman, which had nothing to do with the comics, but was led by Halle Berry. So these movies have been tried in the past. I know even Joss Whedon has mentioned that he has tried to do a Wonder Woman script, but Warner Brothers didn't bite for it. Now, it would be kind of weird for them to do a Justice League movie and then just specifically we'll throw in Wonder Woman kind of towards the end. And you're going to be the person to show up and save the day. Wonder Woman's backstory is difficult. I mean, Green Lantern is probably one of the more difficult backstories. I need to go, it's a dude with a magic ring. Yeah, it's a dude with a magic ring that is science-based, that siphons off of a power battery that is the coalesced will of the universe. Oh yeah, and there's 3,600 of them, or 7,200 of them, and they patrol different sectors of space. There's a whole bunch of aliens. Oh, hey, and they're run by this immortal race of blue midgets. That's a lot to try to cover, and you can tell they did a poor job of it. So look at Wonder Woman's background story. Okay, so on the island of Themyscira, it's a whole bunch of Amazons, and the Amazon queen who wanted to have the perfect daughter molded her out of clay and then took some of the abilities from the gods to breathe life into this clay figure. And she wanted to be the ambassador, but her mother wouldn't let her since she's actually the princess. So she ended up having to fake her identity to win a tournament to be able to make it to the world of man. So she's a woman who is entirely an outcast and wears the American flag. Okay, try to do that over an hour and 45 minutes and have it make sense. That movie alone is difficult because the opening 45 minutes of it is going to be about 90% women. So you're going to find lots of women who can act and look physical. If you pick women who are just attractive, it's going to be a bad movie. If you pick women who are just physical but can't act, that first 45 minutes is going to be a slog, period. I can appreciate the fact that he thinks that the franchise that he really helped work on could have used stronger female characters and other ethnicities. But they already had established Black Widow as a character. Yes, she was entirely a fish out of water in that main battle sequence. So was Hawkeye. Could they very easily be like, this is really tough. Yeah. Thor, can Sif make her way here? Could you just as easily brought in one of the female leads from Thor? Yes. Could you have brought in Don Cheadle's War Machine as backup? Yes. So there are characters already previously discussed who could have been brought in for the Avengers to fill out some of those multi-ethnicity roles, but they just weren't.